Well, welcome back to the studio. We just returned from Alaska where we were cutting some logs. And there's other versions of doing what you saw there too. Not always is it done on the forest floor. Sometimes a log is brought right into a mill and it's done there in the mill. Maybe a little more industrialized, save a little bit of labor, but it's the same thing either way. Now you saw those big chunks of spruce being taken out of the forest. What do we do with them after we get them? We refer to those pieces of spruce as bolts. Imagine a bolt of fabric. That's why we call them a bolt. It's just a rough piece of wood. Now, I've got a model here for you so that we can teach you how the wood comes right out of the bolt. And what we've done on this, just so that you understand, I don't want to confuse anybody, is normally we would take a cut and this piece would fall off and we would take another cut. With this one, just for the sake of the model, we cut partially in, backed out the saw, and that left it all together so that we can see the various cuts we'd make. I'm going to lean up here where I can look at it and talk to you about it, and maybe you can get up close and see. The first cut is made parallel to this face. Okay? I want you to understand that when we talk about vertical grain spruce or quarter sawn spruce, what that really means is that the end grain, these rings that are traveling around the log, are 90 degrees to the face of the wood. This is the face that'll end up being the part that you see on your guitar top. You could see, since these are moving in an arc, that this face is different than this face. So if we just started cutting all of these off at an angle, we would end up with unusable wood over here, with the grain being at maybe a 45-degree angle. So what we do is a lot of tricky cuts. Okay, let me set this down so it'll steady a little bit. The first cut is an 1.5 inch thick piece of wood, which is going to net 3 guitar tops. And then this whole log's got to rotate again. And we take a cut that's a wedge-shaped cut. This one will then, again, have another cut taken out of it, and this section, probably from here to here and there to there, will make guitar braces. Now we've lined the spruce back up to being 90 degrees with the grain again, and we take another chunk of wood that'll yield tops. Another angle, a piece of brace wood, another angle, and now here we have another piece of wood that can make a guitar top. Another piece of brace wood and a piece of scrap, maybe a piece of brace wood in here. With the braces, it's not quite as critical that the grain be exactly 90 degrees like it is on the top. So you can see that every one of these things has a lot of decision-making process going into it. And every one of these bolts are treated with care, and each one of them is being custom cut, basically letting the grain be the guide to get the exact right 90-degree pieces out of it. Eventually, those turn into a guitar top. Here's a top that's been glued up and cut to shape. I think you probably already understand that we'll slice a piece of wood like we're slicing bread, like we're butterflying a steak. We open it up and we glue it together, and that's how we get the width of the top. This piece of wood is as wide as half of a guitar top. Folds over, opens up. That's how it becomes wide enough for a top. I've got various grades of spruce here. Here's pretty much a presentation quality piece of spruce. Very even in grain. Lots of this medullary or cross silk that you see in it. And every time you see that cross hatching in the grain, that's the evidence, the visual evidence on a piece of spruce that lets you know that it's perfectly 90 degrees or a perfect quarter sawn piece. When that disappears, it's because the cut is off just a little bit. Here we have some wood with some bear claw in it. You've seen that in guitars before. Here we have a piece of wood with some bear claw, and it's a little coarser, a little wider grain out here. Here we have a very nice piece of Sitka spruce that's just even in color all the way. It comes along and it turns a little whiter, and then it's a little pinker and a little whiter. All of that is good. We don't mind any of that. Here's a real nice piece of spruce, a little more on the brown color. One thing that you should know about spruce is that each log has a characteristic. It might be a log that's a little red, or a log that's a little pink, or a log that's creamy white. Some logs grow real tight grain on the north side of the log, where they're in shade all the time, and grow real wider grain on the south side of the log. So even within a given log, even though the whole log displays certain characteristics, it will still have high-grade wood and lower-grade wood in the exact same log. So that gives you an idea of what happens to be able to get a tree from the forest onto a guitar top. I'm going to reach out here and bring in a guitar. It's a 600 series guitar. You can see there's a lot of cross silk in this. You can probably even see that on the camera. Tons of it all the way underneath these strings. These lines coming across here are what are called medullary rays. Probably take a little too much explanation to tell you what that is right now, but when you see that medullary ray, you know that spruce has gone through this process here of individual care for every single piece of wood that's been taken out of the tree. Beautiful spruce, hundreds of years old, taken out of the forest. That's what you get on every guitar, and it's a fascinating thing to talk about.